Hello guys, good evening. Welcome to this tutorial series. And in this episode, in this edition, we will be talking everything about GitLab CI/CD pipeline. But before we start, actually, let's start from the beginning. Let's talk about what is actually CI/CD. Well, continuous integration CI and continuous integration CI/CD, I mean to say. So let's start with CI. What is CI? Well, the practice of merging code changes into a shared repository frequently, usually several times in a day. Each of these changes trigger automated tests and probably like code build and things to ensure that code remains stable is what we call as continuous integration. Whereas continuous deployment is the practice of automating the deployment of software to production so that the new features or the fixes can be pushed to user without manual intervention. That is what we call continuous deployment or delivery, whatever. Well, continuous delivery is the process of continuously releasing software now to the end user who actually asks for this software. Now let's come back to this GitLab CI/CD. Well, yes, you can see the name CI/CD there is on the GitLab. So this is GitLab CI/CD is an integrated part of GitLab. So GitLab is a software apparently, and somehow it's an open source software. Obviously, you can still get the proprietary version, which is where you deploy things by yourself and pay them probably like a fraction of the cost. But let's not dwell into that. But today we are talking, especially in this episode, an introduction to GitLab CI/CD, and what it is it's an integrated part of GitLab that enables automation, that enables the team to automate the process of software delivery, including continuous integration, the CI we talked about, and continuous deployment, the CD we talked about. GitLab provides the tools for automating such tasks as building, testing, deploying softwares, which increases the development velocity and ensure consistent and repeatable process. That's what it's giving us essentially. So in a layman term, GitLab CI/CD ensures that the code that it has in its repository or probably elsewhere are pulled through, built, tested, deployed automatically on the process without manual intervention, or like with minimal intervention of a human being basically. So you know the way you build your software and run it locally on your machine, and also a tester or test engineer write their test and run that test locally on their machine and it passes. Well, this whole process will now be taken and put on a GitLab so that this process can be one and only one seamless process. And then the GitLab CI/CD, it's now programmed to be able to execute this process and get it to work. That is what it is. Now, what are the prerequisites to this course or this series actually that we want to begin? The prerequisites are really simple, like a basic knowledge of YAML and an account or access to a GitLab repository or an access to a GitLab code. Well, today we're going to start from the beginning, really, very from scratch. We're going to go online and just Google gitlab.com. I'm going to use the managed one, which is obviously the one that they deployed. You can actually just install yours locally and host it by yourself, but I'm going to use a managed account. They're all same. So what we're going to do today is just to sign up to this account. To create an account, just go into either choose any of this process. For me, I'll just sign up with this my company email address, and I'll just go through, and I think it will just sign me up quickly without any problem. So now there you go. So it is going to send me like probably like a token, as he said. It's just saying I should verify. We sent you a code. Go and verify that. So I'm going to go offline for a minute and just confirm that code. I'm just going to get that code and put it through here. And I'm going to verify my email address. Hopefully they will sign me up. So now the email is verified. I'm going to probably just complete this process. So your account has been successfully verified. Now, what do you want this account for? Send. Well, the role, probably let's say I'm a DevOps engineer. So let's these things here, these things doesn't really matter what it is. It sort of helps them to kind of profile, maybe ad they will be showing to you, or things, or customize your experience. That's it really. I am signing up for GitLab because whatever, just select anything. I want to store my code, I want to move, whatever, just select any of these really. So I think for me, I would say I want to probably learn the basics, whatever, and create a new project. We're going to create a new project. Who will be using this GitLab? Just me. I'll just say just me for now, for the time being. You can go back and change some of these options really. Here the group name. So group name is like a global name you want to create where everyone else can sort of maybe co-share with you. For now, probably let's call this something like I like to call things from Galaxy. Actually, let's just call it Galaxy really. And then project name, maybe this project is going to be, we are doing GitLab series, let's call it project name now would be, let's say pipe basics. I'll just say basics. This, I don't think this really matters anything. Do you want to create this from a template or just create blank thing? Well, if you want, you can. Otherwise, you can just, I think you can get away without doing anything. So let's create this. There is your first thing you're going to create, and you say congratulations. This is just you set up now. So it says GitLab is better with colleagues. If you want to share and invite someone, for now I really don't want, so I'll just cancel this out. Well, that's the first criteria fulfilled. So we created this pipe basics. This is a repository, and let's go and play around. Well, before we actually just nip off, it's just telling us here, hey, that we need to set up SSH to this account. SSH is something else really, just a way that secure shell hosting thing, where kind of a protocol that is used to allow authentication between two machines. If you see this GitLab as a machine, probably just there deployed out in the cloud somewhere, and your local machine, they need to talk to each other. And for them to talk together, they need to talk in a secure manner. That is why we need to go and talk about SSH. So first thing we need to do, here is our repository. And in these modern days, you need to clone this repository down. There are so many ways you can do that these days. In the past, we were cloning repository using this HTTPS. It is secure, but this is increasingly getting frustrating, because if you do this process, you either have to put your password and expose it there. The setup sometimes is not reliable, or you actually have to go and generate a token to use as a password. And in that case, you have to actually store plain text token. It's not really good. That is why the default behavior now is now to clone with an SSH. And actually, that's why you need to set up the SSH thing. So let us go ahead and generate the SSH key we want to use. So I'm going to open up a terminal. So let's open up a terminal for the first time. So here we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate into a directory called where I do things. I just a place called online. So here I am. So if I just list out the directory here just to see what I am, I'm going to go to DevOps series because we're on DevOps today. And I'm going to so let's make a directory here. I will call this directory probably anything you like really. I can call this directory as SSH. So make a directory here and then call it like let's say dot. So the reason I'm doing this is that I already have a place that I am using a default SSH, but this is going to be like a temporary SSH I can use for today. Otherwise I can just use the previous one I already done. So what are we going to do? Well, what we can do now is that I can just go here and generate the SSH key. To do that, it's actually just a simple process now. Mind you, before we generate that, just know that SSH in the past used to be what we call the algorithm that SSH used before now is what we call RSA encryption. With that, it's kind of a bit older now. They said there is an issue and they are urging people to move on to the one we now call ED25519. protocol. That's what we're going to do. So let's do that. We just type SSH here, key gen -t here to specify the technology. As you can see here, if I select this, it's going to say this is the new protocol now. -c, just a comment. You can add any email address here. So for me, the email address I'll be using today is the send idea, which is the limited@gmail.com, which is the one I just used to sign up. So you say, should I save it on this default path? No, I don't want. I just want this to go to this current path. So now I will say ID_ED 25519 and I'll press on enter. So the next thing it just says, please enter a passphrase. If you need a passphrase is a bit more like password that you use to kind of protect your SSH key. I don't really need it. I can't really see any point because this in itself is also like a password really. So I don't really see the point of putting it. I'll just press and enter again. So this will generate that. So if I just go ls-la, and I'm going to see that the two keys are generated. This one that I just selected is the private key. This is the public key. The public key says .pub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to like cat this out. I'll just say cat and I'll do ID_this ed. So I'll press tab here. I need to change directory into that place where it is. Well, that's what it is. So let's see. ls-la. Yeah, that's what it is. So I want to cat and I want to go to ID_ed 25519.pub tab. Then it gives me this key here. So I'm going to destroy this key much later anyway, but I'll just copy this and put it into here. So if we go, let's max this out. It is asking us here, you can go through here. Otherwise, you can also go through your profile thing here. Just go to your profile and then go to, I think, on your preferences here. Yeah, on the preferences, you can tell it SSH. So you come to this SSH and click on this and just add the key here. If you add a key, automatically it will pick up the email and things, and it will tell you for authentication and sign in, and it will tell you when this key would expire. Well, you can manually override this, and I'm going to delete this key after this tutorial. So it doesn't really matter, but at this minute, it is telling me that this key will expire this time next year, 2025. So that's enough for me really. So I'll just say add. There you go. So that's successfully added. Now the GitLab account that we got now knows about this key. So you can see the message here changes. So it is no longer bothering me with anything at all. So if I go to Galaxy group, and then it's telling me there's a pipe basics here. The SSH warning as well is gone. So here is again, it's just talking about your account is authenticated with push or pull over HTTP. That just warning you must set password or set personal preferences. Talking to just a reminder. Anyway, so I can do this later. So this is not a rocket science anyway. I'll just leave that. But here now we fully set up GitLab. GitLab now has the public version of my SSH key. So now that it's got it, the next thing we need to now do is that we need to now tell our machine locally that an SSH is already set up. So because the way it works, as I was saying, is to use the two keys, the public key, the GitLab will present the public key, and then my local machine would actually present the private key, and they will do an exchange. They will have a handshake. So I need to tell my local machine that even though this key is generated here, so it doesn't matter where this key is generated, but even though the private key is generated locally, but we need to tell this machine that there is a key for you. You can use that. So anyway, just for the sake of it, I'm going to show you here. I'm just going to cut this. But this time around is the public, it is the private key. I just press and enter. Here is the key. So if I get this key, I'm going to destroy this key later, so don't worry about it. Just generate yours. Here is the key that we need to tell our local machine to load up. Well, the easiest way to tell our machine to load this up, especially when you're on a Mac, is to actually go to what we call as .z SHRC terminal or Z profile, whatever you want to. So for us to do that, what we can do is to, I'm just going to go Vim, and I can go to this profile, and I'll go to something like ZSHRC profile. I'll press an enter. So if I press an enter, there are these files sometimes can be overwhelming, especially someone like me who is probably DevOps or all of that roles. There is already some custom things I've done. But what you should be interested in is simply, you should just want to be interested in just adding a new path here. Just press and enter. You can just press multiple times and just put this key here. Well, you're not really going to manually paste this key here. We're going to write a code that will reference that key wherever it is. Well, just remember wherever that key was located. If you remember, that key was literally located in this path. Here it is where it is located. This is what we need to tell this thing to go here and fish it out or find it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this path. I mean, you can hard code that, but that's fine. So what we want to do is to tell him, first of all, when he loads, that he should create a memory each time a shell runs. And if you're not actually familiar with what this shell is simply each time you open up a bash or this ZSHRC, it would run a process, and every of the things that you have configured here will run each time a new instance of this is created. So if I right click here and just create a new one here and just say new, it would run whatever program is that is there again. So that's why we're putting this program. And this eval, it's what it does is, I'm just going to script it in a second. So I'll just do that, and I will say, please use SSH and SSH agent, and obviously like spin up a new memory instance when you run. So when it runs, it creates this kind of like a temporary memory on the shell. And then what I need to do now is to use the second command from SSH. It's called SSH add. The first one is SSH agent. You're spinning up that agent, which I said kind of creates a memory. And then use SSH add and add this up to that profile. So what are we going to do? Well, if we go to home profile, we can paste that path where that key is. Well, in our own case here, you can see here is my anything user, my name thing is where that home directory is located. And this is where the rest of the things are. So I'll just do that this way. So I'll just put, and I'll put that ID ed 25519, and that's where my private key is located. If you remember, if you go back again just quickly, you can see that the private key is actually located in this place. We cancel it. Sorry, this is the old one, and then the new one we created was saying that, hey, this is now created within this space, isn't it? So basically what we want is just this path, because that's where it's created. So we just copy that and just make sure that it's the right thing. So let's paste it again just to confirm that that is correct. So I mean, if you really don't trust the one you've typed, you can just whip this ones, you know, like take it off. So here I'm just going to go over here and just take out this. Here it is. So we have set this path, and this is what it will do. What it will do is that it will put this key into the path. Perfect. And notice that I didn't put .pub at the end because it is the private key that I want to load. Well, if you're on a MacBook, there's an extra thing you need to add. If you want to just put -K here, which is you want it to be loaded inside the keychain so that it will stop disturbing you. So once I'm done, I'll press escape, I'll press colon, I'll press WQ and exclamation mark, and I'll come out. So that's me done. So if I go and open up a new instance or kill this one, then it will load that up automatically for us. There you go. So it says this is now loaded up. Now you can see this is now identity is added. Well, now it says this is like a new thing. Now it says the -K, -A flag are deprecated now, but it's still working anyway. They are saying it's been replaced by this now, or just use this one. So whichever this is respectively. So if you're using -a option, you should go with Apple load keychain. If you use -k, it's now been changed to this option here. So just, I mean, but for now, it's enough for us. But if you really want for us, our ones is this, so you can just go back, or probably just go back here and just, where is it here? We can just go back here and edit it out. So we just go down again to the bottom where this is located and just change it there. All right, so now we're just taking a tool to go down to the bottom. Yeah, there you go. So here they are simply saying, if I press I to insert something, they're just simply saying, please change this to this -- Apple use keychain, which is essentially what that shortcut was. So I'll do escape :WQ and exclamation, press and enter. This is done. So now if I kill those ones I open and just open up a fresh one, that warning wouldn't want to come up again. It would just load up nicely. There you go. So it says this is loaded. Now this machine can now communicate with whatever that we had before. So this local machine can now communicate with GitLab machine. So let's try that. So in that case, what we want to do is to clone this repository. So let's go and clone this, and I'm going to like change directory into like one of the directories where I was. Let's see where we were. We say we were in this DevOps directory, and I'll just do ls-la. So in this series, we're going to be talking about GitLab. So I just make a directory here. Make there, sorry, I can type make there here, and I'll just create a directory called GitLab Series. So press and enter, just get into GitLab, and I'll just clone this repository. I'll just do git here to clone. Let's clear this tab. I'll type git clone, and I'll paste this here. Press and enter, it would. So if I go here now and just say, let's press and enter here and just press ls-la, you see that I have this repository down. It is called pipe basics. Let's change directory into this pipe basics. Get in. You can see that I am on a main branch. Perfect. So when I do ls-la, you see the content that I have online here has now transferred down to the local machine. The content is readme.md. Let's have a look here. Let's go back into our pipe-basics. You see that we got a readme file here. The second thing you see is .git. This is just a hidden file. We'll talk about this later, but this is the file that makes Git to actually be Git, to actually track things. When you get inside, you see the way the technology works. So you're not supposed to be tampering with that file. It is what makes it work. So when I do .git and do ls-la, you see what is inside. These are like its own property. You shouldn't tamper with this. Maybe we'll have a section where we can kind of look at this and just come back to it. Well, one more important thing, now that you can communicate between the local GitLab and the public one in the gitlab.com, one more thing I want to emphasize is that it is really important that you actually go back and set up a two-factor authentication as well, because that way your account is fully secured. So if I go here and just go to preferences and go to click account, you see two-factor authentication. This makes your GitLab double secured. Actually, this is the real scenario that you actually use to work at workplace. Most workplaces has two-factor authentication enabled. So how do you do that? Just click on that. It would generate a code here, as you can see on the board. Please don't bother scanning this code because you're going to generate yours. So when you see this code, all you're going to do is to download an app. So most of them would be, there are so many ways you can do that really, but they will tell you to download an app, something like Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator or Authy. So for me, I have downloaded one of those apps. So just download it on your phone or wherever you like. For me now, what I'm going to do now is I can now scan this code on the screen and just get it to set up. So I'm going to scan, and then this is now scanned. So now that it's scanned, so what I need to do now is I need to just set up this. I just click OK. It will generate a code. The first code it generates is what it's asking me to type in here. So I just type from my phone into this place. I'll register. Hopefully this is going to generate some kind of code for us. There you go. So it generated these codes. You can download this code if you want, or make a copy of them or print them out. This is your recovery in case you're locked out anytime. So for me, I'm okay. I'm not going to download that, but I suggest you do so. So now our account is fully set up. This is the first prerequisite to actually going on a journey with me on this series. The upcoming class, we would look at how to create our first basic pipeline, and then that way we can take things further. Thank you so very much. Thank you.